Across our world we live, in cities and villages, all part of a greater whole, but we're not alone. They come in herds, hives and swarms, packs, prides and pairs, living in nature, members of society. Deep in the wilderness, from the barren ice of the Arctic to the jungles of South America, Caniforms can be found in one form or another, a widespread group of mammals. They evolved over 50 million years ago, divided into 9 families, including all bears, wolves and foxes, though their size and lifestyle may vary considerably. From the massive brown bear, broadly omnivorous and weighing up to 1,500 pounds, to the least weasel at just over an ounce, preying exclusively on smaller rodents. They represent one of the biggest groups of mammalian predators and come in packs and small groups to pairs and loners, though none as distinctive and mythic as the wolf. Though the term may be used for a wide range of dog-like predatory animals, including all forms of jackal and wild dogs, the true wolf is as unmistakable as it is iconic in appearance. A single species divided into 25 living subspecies, ranging from the dingo to the infamous grey wolf, to the domestic dog as it was taken in as a companion by Stone Age humans over 30,000 years ago. They all vary greatly in size, though the many subspecies of grey wolf average 80 to 100 pounds, measuring over 5 feet long, with a variety of appearances, mostly being white, grey, brown or black. All nearly exclusively predatory, preying on a wide range of ungulates or hoofed animals, as well as smaller rodents and birds. They can be found in nearly all types of environments in the Northern Hemisphere, from forested areas and open plains to barren tundra and polar climates. The dingo are additionally found throughout Australia, while domestic dogs have spread worldwide. The true wolf remains closely related to the American coyote, with which it can often interbreed and form hybrid species of coy wolves. Though this is a rare occurrence, as wolves typically form tight-knit social groups with limited breeding rights and little outside influence. They are pack hunters, collaborating to take down prey much larger than themselves, governed by strict social hierarchies, with each member of the pack filling a particular role, being highly social animals. Most packs, or families, having 5 to 12 individuals, occasionally joining other packs to form larger communities of 2 to 3 families, even up to 40 wolves in all. The pack is centered around a very large home range, which they may aggressively defend from other packs, the wolves patrolling at least 9% of the range every day. The pack itself is governed by a highly complex social structure led by a single male or female, known as the alpha, who is solely in charge of all navigation and decision-making, as well as keeping the peace within the pack itself as part of its role as the head of the family. The alpha is then followed by several subservient betas, varying in rank and social status, mostly being the alpha's direct descendants, all loyal to the point where they may willingly starve by surrendering food to go to the alpha and its pups when food is scarce. Each of the betas filling different roles at different times, with internal rankings being subject to challenges of dominance by other betas. As such, they've developed a wide array of vocalizations and non-vocal communications. The social status of wolves reflected directly in their posture and expressions around other wolves, particularly the height of the head and tail indicating either submission or aggression, showing or covering teeth to show different stages of emotion, anger, and defensiveness. While vocalizations can be divided into 3 main categories: howls, yelps, and growls. howling in particular being distinctive among wolves, able to be heard across an area of up to 50 square miles. It is used to gather or locate the pack as well as to sound an alarm, the length and tone of the howl indicating the difference, while yelps and whining is used either to indicate submission or to express playfulness and care. Growls used only for aggression and defensiveness. Mating season occurs once a year, between January and April depending on the location and the subspecies, for a period of up to 2 weeks. Wolves are generally monogamous, with each pack containing one breeding pair only, the alpha and its mate, the sexuality of the betas being typically suppressed. The first time a mate is to be selected, the males, typically considerably larger, follow the females around, vying for her attention, bringing her food and displaying their strength. After the female has chosen her mate, they remain together as the breeding pair until the death of one or both of them. The mating act itself takes only a few minutes at a time and is frequently repeated for days until conception occurs. After which, the female digs out a den in a cave or at the base of a tree, where she remains for the duration of the pregnancy, lasting 2 months, as well as during the ensuing recovery and nursing period, during which time her mate, with the help of the betas, gather food for her. Typically between 5 to 7 pups are born, though litters of up to 17 pups have been known to happen. Born blind and deaf, weighing around 10 to 15 ounces, they begin to see at 9 to 12 days of age. The pups are raised by the pack as a whole, employing alloparenting strategies to socialize the pups through social grooming and play fighting. At 4 months of age, they will have increased their body weight 30 times over and are soon able to accompany the pack on hunts, staying with their parents in the pack until reaching sexual maturity between 2 to 3 years of age, after which many of the juvenile wolves disperse, particularly the males, to ensure genetic diversity, while some juvenile females may choose to stay in the pack to help raise the next litter. The dispersed wolves, on the other hand, will attempt to seek out a new pack to join, though most wolf packs refuse to accept newcomers and the lone wolves often resort to prolonged isolation, or to joining with another lone wolf of the opposite sex to form an entirely new pack. While in nearly all environments, wolves are the apex predators with few natural enemies, juvenile wolves are significantly vulnerable to isolated incidents and attacks, as well as the threat of starvation or injury from failed hunts. Once in a pack, life expectancy rises dramatically, however, with a maximum lifespan for a social wolf being up to 13 years in the wild, though the average remains around 5 to 6 years due to many wolves dying from injuries received due to disputes with other wolves. A long-since iconic image of a cunning hunter of woodlands and forests is that of the fox. A diverse group of canids, or dog-like predatory animals, they are closest in relations to jackals and wolves, divided into 5 main groups: the gray foxes, the South American foxes, the bat-eared foxes, the crab-eating foxes, and the true foxes. The true foxes being the most prolific, with 12 species in all, dominated by the red fox with 47 subspecies, found throughout North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia, while foxes at large can be found on every continent except Antarctica. In any environment from mountainous ranges to flat grasslands, woodlands, jungles, and even barren tundra, they are distinct from dogs and other canines by their small size, notable whiskers, and distinctive coloration, either white, brown, gray, or red, depending on both the species, the individual's age, and the season. As many foxes in temperate or colder climates molt seasonally, with a typically thicker and brighter winter coat. They range in size from the largest, the red fox, weighing up to 30 pounds, to the smallest, the fennec fox, at a mere 1.5 pounds, making foxes among the smallest canids in existence. Generally omnivorous, they feed on anything from plants and eggs, insects and snails, to small reptiles and birds, using their keen sense of smell and eyesight to hunt, stalking and pouncing on their prey. storing excess food by burying it under leaves or soil for later consumption. Most being either nocturnal or crepuscular. Unlike most canids, foxes generally do not live in cohesive packs, instead known to live in smaller family groups and pairs, or, as with the Arctic fox, alone. Most groups consisting of 2 to 4 individuals, usually as a monogamous pair with their latest litter, with groupings of up to 8 individuals sometimes found in a single territory when food is abundant, wherein a single individual or pair controls the territory with others being subordinate, usually being former cubs who have yet to disperse. As such, foxes have developed a variety of vocalizations, from whining, used either at birth as a sign of hunger or distress, or by submissive adults in confrontations, yelping as with young pups during play, growls, the adult fox's instructive sounds to its pups, calling for them, contact calls being unique to each individual, used for recognition and greetings. Barks, calling attention to intruders and threats. Explosive calls being a high-pitched howl used to threaten and intimidate other foxes and animals. And a combative call, the sharp combination of bark and howl used while in direct conflict with another fox, with a few additional being able to howl when separated from their mate. Many foxes have fixed territories, employing territorial markings to keep outsiders at bay, digging out one or multiple hollow dens within, ranging from simple dugout holes and caves to complex underground tunnel systems depending on the species and climate. The fox takes rest during the day inside its den or under the cover of bushes and foliage, emerging in the afternoon to hunt or seek out a mate, alternating dens depending on the nearby abundance of food, seasonal changes, or outbreaks of parasite. Mating season typically occurs once or twice a year, usually in the spring for the northern species, fall for southern species, when the female foxes or vixens are in the oestrus period, lasting between 1 day to 3 weeks. First-time females crying out for mates with a distinct mating call. The male then seeking her out and following her around until she is willing to mate, or until she rejects his advances. Several males occasionally ending up in combat over a single female, growling and biting. Though serious injuries are rare, most rivalries amounting to little more than displays of aggression. The breeding pair then mates repeatedly over several hours, forming a pair bond, most foxes being either permanently or serially monogamous, joining their territories together as one. The gestational period lasts between 5 weeks and 2 months for most foxes, after which a litter of 2 to 6 pups or kits are born, up to 13 for some species, most being born blind and nearly deaf and with a darker coat than their final color with a fluffy brown or black fur. Though both parents take part in rearing the pups, the female is typically the dominant parent, as the pups are predominantly breastfed for the first 2 to 8 weeks, while the male forages for food to bring back to his mate, occasionally employing alloparenting with older pups from previous litters aiding in rearing and nursing the pups. The pups quickly gaining weight, they begin to venture out of the den after a month or 2. Aggressively play fighting and exploring. Though they only begin to hunt alongside their parents at 3 to 4 months of age, becoming increasingly independent over the next few months, growing to nearly adult size, before reaching sexual maturity at around 8 to 12 months of age, after which they usually disperse to find a mate and form a family territory of their own, with most males and some females already breeding within the first year, though some pups may occasionally choose to stay in their home range with the parents if food is abundant, at the expense of their own reproduction, which is instead delayed. Mortality rates for juvenile foxes is very high due to their size and vulnerability, up to 75% during the first year, with even adult foxes being targets for predation by larger animals such as owls, hawks, and eagles, as well as large felines such as leopards, lions, and tigers. as well as being particularly vulnerable to disease due to rabies and others, with various skin and fur parasites being commonplace. The average lifespan for foxes being typically only 1 to 5 years, though some cases have been reported of foxes living up to 15 years. Of all the caniforms in existence, few are as well known and studied as the mighty bears. They are the giants of the wild, the largest predators on land. The largest polar bear known to have stood over 11 feet tall when upright, while the largest Kodiak bear is known to have weighed over 2,400 pounds, 3 times the size of the largest tiger. The smallest sun bear being 4 feet tall itself, weighing 140 pounds. Divided into 8 species, including the sloth bear, the spectacled bear, the sun bear, the polar bear, the brown bear, the Asian and American black bear, and the giant panda. They are found throughout Europe, Asia, North and South America, and are most common in forests and grasslands. Though they have been known to exist in mountainous regions and the barren tundra, as well as in the Arctic itself. Recognizable by their massive body, powerful muscular shoulders, stocky legs and lumbering gait. Unlike other caniforms, bears walk on their hands and feet as opposed to their fingers and toes, as well as long canines and powerful claws used for mauling their prey or to dig up roots and fruits. They are either black or brown, with the polar bear and the panda being partially white, most being born with their final year-round coat, which often consists of a dense undercoat keeping the bear warm and dry, even in extreme temperatures such as the bitter cold of the Arctic. Most bears are, despite their reputation, omnivorous and opportunistic, feeding on a greater variety of foods than any other wild animal, from berries, fruit and leaves to insects, fish, deer and livestock, even carrion. Only the polar bear being exclusively predatory, while the panda is almost entirely herbivorous. Bears using their significant sense of smell to locate their prey from distances up to 50 miles downwind, as well as using their eyesight to identify berries and fruit. Bears are generally highly solitary, only rarely found in pairs or smaller groups during mating season, when raising their cubs, or in cases of seasonal abundance of food, as with salmon runs. Though most are highly territorial with fixed home ranges and no tolerance for outsiders, their territory is centered around a single den, either a cave or a deep hollow dug out from loose soil, where bears in temperate or subpolar climates go into hibernation over the winter months. Many bears building up fat reserves during the summer and fall to be able to fast during hibernation. As such, communication between bears is limited to territorial and mating displays, relying on body language of charging and aggressive stances to ward off unwanted visitors, or a series of vocalizations ranging from barking to call attention to a threat, humming and huffing used between mother and cub, moaning and growling for mild to strong warnings, and roaring for outright intimidation, with huffing also used during courtship. As unlike many other caniforms, bears are polygynous as well as polyandrous, with bears of both genders mating with several individuals each season, each requiring a brief courtship, only the brown bear being serially monogamous, alternating a single new partner each year. Mating season typically occurs once a year for a limited time as the female goes into estrus, usually in the spring or early summer, lasting between a few days as with the panda, or several months for American black bears, during which time the female constantly emits powerful pheromones to be detected by nearby males. The male then approaches the female, initiating a cautious greeting and huffing to signal his intentions to mate. If other males are nearby, violent conflicts may arise, males mauling and clashing into each other, though only to assert dominance and not to seriously injure. If the female accepts the male's advances, she reciprocates the huffing and the mating begins. Once conception occurs, the female uses a process of delayed implantation, wherein the egg does not yet attach to the uterus for several months, allowing the female time to build up her body weight in preparation for hibernation and birth-giving. If the female does not gain enough weight, the fertilized egg is instead absorbed back into her body, and she is forced to wait until next year to try to conceive again. Pregnancy for bears lasts between 2 to 5 months for brown bears, polar bears, sun bears, and pandas, but up to 8 months for sloth bears, black bears, and spectacled bears. The female giving birth alone during hibernation for northern species, in litters of 1 to 6 cubs. Most first-time mothers giving birth to a single cub, while older females can give birth to greater numbers. The cubs are born blind, toothless, and with only a thin layer of fur, as well as being very small, weighing less than 2 pounds even for the largest species. Panda cubs weighing as little as 3 to 4 ounces at birth. The cubs then breastfeed for a minimum of 6 months to 2 years, gaining weight significantly until it's ready to follow the female in search of food. The mother then continues to look after her cubs for an additional 2 years, being highly protective of her offspring, turning unusually aggressive to any perceived threat. In particular towards other bears, as males may try to kill the female's cubs to force her into another reproductive cycle. The mother teaches the cubs how to forage for food, how to hunt and how to fish, as well as self-defense and how to set up a den, her reproductive cycle being suppressed as long as the cubs remain in her care. As the cubs grow older, they also grow more independent, frequently wandering off from their mother until they finally disperse, finding their own territories elsewhere. Juvenile bears matured from 2 to 9 years depending on the species. Male maturation often linked to the size of the bear to grow into a size where they can challenge an older male for breeding rights. The average lifespan of most bears being around 20 to 25 years. Juvenile bears and cubs are often targeted by other large predators as well as being vulnerable to diseases, accidents and conflicts with other bears, while the mortality rates for adult bears is very low due to their size, as they are the apex predators with few natural enemies, along with the wolves and other caniforms. And even when some smaller forms, such as foxes, are more vulnerable and open to predation, they remain a crucial link of predators and prey, while their appearance and social structures may vary greatly, from larger wolf packs to family groups to loners, as they can be found in all manners of terrain. They are all part of the same global network of nature and wildlife, all members of an animal society.